Oh, that's going right now.
Yeah, I think we're on.
Are we on? I really
Hard to
cannot
tell.
We'll check chat. What is chat saying?
Somebody in
Are we
chat.
live?
Yeah, we're good. We're live. We're good to go.
We are good?
Yep.
All right, guys. So apparently we're live, even though I can't see the feed. Anyways, welcome to the first ever The Droid Live Show. I'm your host, Kellen. It's nice to finally meet all of you in sort of this face-to-face manner. But anyway, we're just going to talk about all kinds of Android stuff today. You know, we talk about a lot of stuff on the site, but we can't necessarily take that. Well, I should say one person gets to write something on the site, and not everybody else gets to weigh in with their opinions, things like that. So we basically want to use this as an outlet to talk more and have everybody weigh in on topics and things like that. So I'm here, but the whole team is here. We don't actually have binders full of women tonight, but we do have Ron, Eric, and Tim with us. All of you guys, please say hi quickly.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, so we sort of have categories that we're going to go jump through one by one. And, you know, we don't have fancy sound effects and things like that. I think I mentioned that earlier. But to start this off, there's actually breaking news that just came out over the last hour, which I'm sure some of you have already read about. And it's an Android event that has just been announced for October 29th in NYC. So Google just announced this. I believe that's the same day that Microsoft is going to unveil Windows Phone 8 for the first time. So sort of a nice move on Google's part. But anyway, there's no carrier partner attached to it. So it doesn't say LG. Last year's event invite actually said Samsung on it. So they're trying to be a little more mysterious this year. Obviously, we all know there's an LG Nexus in the works. But anyway, Tim, what do you think? Android event, NYC, are we going to see anything new? The actual invite looks more like a Google Now sort of notification. So is it just going to be Android stuff? We're going to get devices too? What do you got?
Well, it's clearly the relaunch of the Nexus Q. But no, all joking aside, I mean, really, I would think that everything's kind of pointing to an LG Nexus, seeing as how that's the only new Nexus device that we've been even talking about. There was like one post about a Sony Nexus, but that was debunked. So I think we're looking at an LG Nexus. Other than that.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you guys think? What do you think, Ron? Are we going to see any surprises? Are we going to get 4.2, 4 point something else? What are we going to get?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have an update of some sort. So I think the bigger question is whether or not we will see multiple Nexuses. I think was it Wall Street Journal? Somebody a couple months ago had said that there were supposed to be multiple Nexus devices. So I mean, maybe if there's no, the lack of saying LG on there, maybe that points to there being something else. Hopefully there is. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sort of running with the impression that we're going to get a phone, and then they're also going to do that Nexus 7 32 gig and just sort of kiss away the 16 gigabyte one. But otherwise, the invite sort of looks like it's just going to be an update on Android, but it's the fall, winter, and they always do device hardware with software. So anyway, it should be interesting, and obviously we'll have full coverage of that as it rolls out. Eric, anything you want to add to that?
I'm just hoping for updates to Google Now. I know they said at one point you're going to be able to do device functions with it, turn on Wi-Fi, turn off Wi-Fi. I think a lot of people are still waiting for that, and I think they could easily throw that out.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting. It always is. Android events are always the one we look forward to every year. So anyway, so now the breaking news out of the way, let's move on to sort of our normal segments that we had scheduled for you guys. And the first thing we want to do is start each show off with, I think there's a dog dying in the background.
Sorry.
Anyway, we want to start our first segment off. The beauty of a live hangout. Anyway, so let's talk about rumors for a minute. So as you guys all know in the chat, we like to talk a lot about rumors on the site. There's other sites that avoid them. They're, they try to stay away from them. We like to talk about them because it sparks conversation. Whether we know they're true or not, sometimes it's just fun just to talk about Android stuff in general, right? So the first one we have is actually pretty juicy. It came to us a couple of weeks ago, and we've sort of sat on it. We haven't confirmed it with multiple sources or anything like that, so we definitely don't want to go live with it. But we thought, in our first Google Plus Hangout Droid Live show, we might as well just toss it out there, see what you guys think. So anyway, it comes from a Motorola source, And anyway, the source tells us that there's a device prototype, potentially Nexus, potentially just Razer, called, at least codename right now, called the Razer X. And no, this is not that Sony fake device that was pictured earlier. This is Motorola Razer X. And this tipster, the only reason we're giving him a minute is because he told us 2 weeks ago that the Droid Bionic ICS was going to come out in 2 weeks. And sure enough, on Friday, Droid Bionic owners got an ICS soak test notification. So basically, he was spot on with that. He's got some other info in there that we probably can't share right now. But anyway, this Razer X, let's just talk about it really briefly. He says it's going to be Intel Atom powered. So he actually called it quad core. It could be dual core multi-threading. It's basically the same thing. He said a 5-inch edge-to-edge true HD display. So we all know Motorola is really pushing that edge-to-edge. NFC, 2 gigs of RAM, big cameras on the back, and he actually said 8-megapixel camera on the front, which sounds a little wild. But you know, he also mentioned that there's proximity sensor stuff for hands-free activation and all kinds of stuff like that. So I mean, you never know. Prototypes though tend to carry really high specs, and they almost always get dumbed down once you actually get towards launch, probably to save costs and things like that. But he did mention Jelly Bean, of course, upgradable to just about any version of Android, a big 3,500 milliamp hour battery, and potentially VO LTE radios, although that's obviously unconfirmed as well. So anyway, this is sort of like a juicy rumor that I don't know that anybody's talked about at all. So the Razer X could be Motorola's big new flagship. So anyway, I'm just going to toss it around and see what you guys think. So, Ron, Razer X, do you care if Motorola makes the next big thing? Are you done with them? Do you want them to make a Nexus? What do you think?
Well, you know, I thought I was going to write them off after Droid 2, Droid 3, Droid 4. Those were all pretty horrible devices. But the latest Razers really aren't bad. I mean, they're not, obviously not shipping with Jelly Beans, so that's not great, but they can ship out a Jelly Bean device, especially if it's a stock Android device, which they, you know, we just had that article go up about them, you know, talking about how that's their ideal. I mean, that'd be great. I don't know about a 5-inch screen like that HTC one just said. I don't know if that's the best idea, but yeah, I mean, the more Nexus devices we can get, I think if we can push stock Android and, you know, into the masses a little bit more, and, you know, maybe that will upset Verizon a little bit, but if we can do that, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean, this device apparently prototype, so that, I mean, we could be a year out from ever seeing this for all we know. But Intel powered, so you know, the only phone we've seen by that was the Razer I in the UK, which, you know, nobody's running home to tell their parents about. But I don't know, Tim, are you ready for the new big Motorola device? I know we talk about it a lot on the site. I mean, we were all with the original Droid, right? So we're waiting for Motorola to sort of come back and like take back the market. Can they do it? It's two phones.
To bring it home. Well, I mean, if specs like that are coming out on a Motorola device, it sounds like pretty much any Android fanboy's wet dream, basically, because there's something about their hardware, the radios, just kind of. It's like when the planets align is when Motorola makes it like a really cool device. So I think we're all ready for it, you know, but what carriers it comes to and all that type of stuff, that's a lot of it. Just if you answer that one, there's 100 other questions that need to be answered. So I think I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I think we're all ready for Motorola to sort of make a comeback. Right now it's Samsung and HTC barely hanging on, Motorola sort of hanging on. I think we need another big Android player.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to LG Nexus talk. So obviously, for like 2 weeks, we've been covering the LG Nexus, which could be called the Nexus 4. We don't actually know that for sure. And it's got, well, basically it's the Optimus G. Oh, can you see my crack in that thing? You guys have all seen the crack. Oh, there it is.
A little bit.
Anyway, so it's basically the Optimus G with quad core, Snapdragon S4 Pro, 4.7-inch. IPS or HD IPS Plus display, 2 gig of RAM, 8-megapixel camera, and I really like the phone. But as you can see, I don't even know how I cracked this thing, so I'm a little worried about LG's build quality and things like that. I mean, and not only that, we're also worried that there could only be 8 gigabytes of internal storage or 16 gigabytes. I know that keeps the price way down since they'll probably sell as an unlocked device, but how successful can that be? So I don't know, Eric, tell me, is the LG Nexus going to be a win or a loss?
LG has got a lot of making up to do with people in the Android community as far as I go. Every time, you know, you bring up LG, you think about the Spectrum and the Intuition, and I think the Intuition 2 or whatever they just announced, you know, you just kind of laugh whenever you think of those. So they're going to have to keep the price low, but their build quality is going to have to be enough to keep people interested. They've got a stigma to overcome at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a phone I think that most of us will probably pick up just being like the new Google flagship phone, but for some reason right now I'm not crazy excited about it. Maybe that's just because I've had the Optimus G. I don't know. Tim, you have the Optimus G too. Are you excited for the LG Nexus or not?
I don't know. So far, I'm really liking the Optimus G. Super fast, camera's awesome, but I mean, yeah. Then again, if it comes out with not this camera, not this amount of storage, stock Android, and like, okay, don't get me wrong, I love stock Android, Jelly Bean, and all that, but sometimes, like this new skin that they have on the Optimus, it's actually not too bad. Like, I haven't had to switch back to a third-party launcher or anything. Like, I don't know. I mean, an LG Nexus is good for Android, but I don't know as a consumer if I'm necessarily excited.
Yeah. Ron, any thoughts on the LG Nexus? Excited, not excited?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's just kind of we'll see at this point.
Yeah, I mean, especially the 8 gig thing. I mean, obviously there's a big push towards doing a lot of things more cloud side. I can't do. I mean, with the amount of pictures I take, and then I want to cache my music locally on my device. I don't want to have to stream it the whole time. So, and I mean, that doesn't make any. I mean, I was at the Amazon event, and Jeff Bezos was saying, if you're shipping a device with 8 gig, that's pointless at this point, and I gotta agree. So, I cannot imagine that jumping up even to 16 is going to, from 8 is going to save them. It's not going to be a huge amount of money. Those chips don't cost a lot. So, especially when you scale like that. So, hopefully that part of the rumor is totally bogus, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully once they actually get you production units, they have way more than 8 gig. I mean, the Nexus 7 and 8 gig, you could fill that up with a half a movie and one HD game. It's just ridiculous. And people, use their phone a heck of a lot more than they use a tablet. So, yeah, hopefully that comes up a lot. So the last rumor that we had tonight is the Samsung Nexus 10, which I believe Eric wrote up. And, basically it's going to have this crazy high resolution on it. And it's supposed to be, we're not calling things iPad killers anymore, I don't think. But anyway, it's supposed to be crazy high resolution over the iPad. It may not come out, I think, now until Q1 or something. Eric, what was the story on that?
Yeah, the story was that we're not going to see it before next year, but I think that this is going to be Google's high-end Nexus tablet, whereas the Nexus 7 is $199, and we've heard those sketchy rumors of $99 dollar Nexus tablet. I think this will be the high-end version that they're packing that crazy screen into that they know some diehard Android fans are going to want to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sweet spot for the first Nexus tablet, the Nexus 7, was the price. And I mean, if you're going to slap a resolution or a screen that crazy good, I can't imagine it's going to be that cheap. So, I don't know. Do you guys have any other thoughts on the Nexus 10? Is it something you're interested in, or are you fine with your little $199 Nexus 7?
They need to meet a good price point, I think. Basically, it seems like the only thing people are actually getting people excited about tablets is like how low they can go, basically. Yeah, I'm kind of excited.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on now. Get out of rumors. I think that's enough of the rumor mill for one night. So let's just talk about devices that have sort of made headlines over the last few weeks, or the last week. So last night at, I believe it was like 11 p.m. Pacific, and whatever time that was in Japan, HTC announces this phone called the J Butterfly. And basically it's the 1080p 5-inch quad-core processor. Everything we talked about for this HTC DLX phone that was supposed to come to Verizon. And it goes to Japan first with this really cheesy skin on it that we saw in the HTC Rhyme. But the phone itself, it looks unreal. Like, styling is on par with their new Windows phones, and obviously that screen looks crazy. I think The Verge posted up macro of the screen compared to the iPhone 5, and iPhone 5 just looked blurry compared to it. I mean, it's like 440 pixels per inch. It's unreal. But the battery then is like 20 milliamp hour. I don't know how a battery that small is going to power a phone with a display that intense. So, I mean, eventually we hope this is coming to Verizon, but it's going to be in Japan like December. So that could mean Verizon in December, January. We're not really sure. So, Ron, what do you think about this HTC massive 5-inch 1080p thing? Is that overkill? Is it awesome? What do we need?
Well, I think that's a little bit too big of a screen. So some people might remember the Streak, and that was overkill then. So, but as far as coloring, if they can do some of the stuff, the Windows Phone, what is it, the HTC 8X, I think they're calling it, the coloring they're doing with that, that looks great. And if they do something like that with this, which it looks like is what they're doing, then go for it. But I hope we don't. If it does come to Verizon with that same battery, I hope we don't have another Thunderbolt.
Yeah, really, the last thing we need is another Thunderbolt on our hands.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So Eric, I was talking to you this morning about this phone, and you said, like, this is my next phone. Like, I would pay full price for that. Why?
I have had this love affair with the One X ever since it came out. It's something that I've absolutely wanted, but I can't have because Verizon didn't pick up on it for some reason. So, this is the next step in that. With the screen is just going to be fantastic. The SL but I'm really excited. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Verizon picks up this phone sometime soon.
Yeah. Does anyone have a DIX joke to finish this topic off?
Eric already did have the 5 inches. Nothing for me.
I mean,
Eric handled that.
Damn it!
5 inches. HTC DIX. Anyway, all right. So moving on from that, obviously it's going to be a crazy good phone. We'll all want to have some time with it. So I got a Razer HD this week, and I did a quick unboxing. You guys saw, took some pictures of it. My first impressions are, it's a nice phone. I'm just not sure that this is any way going to be able to compete with the Galaxy Note 2 if this HTC phone comes out. It's only a dual-core processor. Not that that's bad. Like, it's got plenty of power, 1 gig of RAM, and all that stuff. But there's nothing in it that really wows you. Even the HD screen on it, compared to what LG put in that Optimus G, it's night and day difference. The Optimus G just crushes this in display. And then the camera it's not good. I mean, I haven't had any success with it. I haven't had a chance to go out and take a ton of pictures with it, but so far it's not doing all that well. The speaker is crazy loud. I know a lot of people actually care about that, so the speaker is awesome. I do love this like multicolored notification light. I don't know if you guys can see it. I actually face dropped this onto my hardwood floors, and it didn't crack, unlike the LG phone, although I still don't know how I cracked that thing. It's got sort of this industrial feel to it. Actually, it has an iPhone metal band around it, which, I mean, it totally looks like an iPhone Kang. I'm not going to lie. But otherwise, like, the soft touch back with the Kevlar is nice. But still, I just don't know if this is, like, the phone that's going to, like, bring Motorola back. I feel like that's not going to be till next year. I don't know, Tim. I know you haven't had this yet, but is this phone or the Razer Max HD, or is this going to say Motorola's 2012?
No. I mean, from what I can see, it looks pretty cool. I still haven't even felt it, so I really just want to feel the back. But I'm excited. I'm excited about the device. No, I don't think it's going to like bring Motorola's Q4 numbers through the roof or anything. It's not going to outsell iPhone 5 or really probably anything. But I know that there's plenty of people who love the Droid and the Razer and the Razer Max. So anyone who's looking to upgrade from that, I mean, it's kind of like a win-win for them at least. But it's not going to get me back into Motorola or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, we ran that poll like a week ago or something that said, which of Verizon's new phones are you most excited for? And the Razer HD and Max HD, like, they didn't dominate the poll, but they were in the lead over even the Galaxy Note 2, which I'm not going to lie, I'm sort of surprised. It just shows you, I mean, Motorola, after all these years, they still have like a really hardcore group of fans that, love their stuff. I mean,
that was before all the butterfly stuff came out this morning, though. I mean, so like as time goes by and we see what might go up against the Razer Max HD and Razer HD, I think we'll see kind of how people actually feel about the device.
Yeah. Eric or Ron, what are your thoughts on the Razer HD?
Ron, you want to go first? You got this?
Well, I like that notification light that it's got right beneath it. That is nice, and the multicolor and everything else like that. It's not as ugly as I expected. Most of the Kevlar backs I haven't been a fan of, but that actually it looks pretty nice. So, Yeah, so I mean, it's obviously like Tim was saying, it's not going to save them or anything else like that. But you know, if it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully, and that's the thing, you know, people keep saying, oh, Google owns them now, but you know, as we all know, these devices are in the pipeline for a couple of years. So I mean, hopefully, we'll start seeing some better devices out of them as Google kind of coaches them and how to come out from the pit that they got themselves in.
I think like what Ron said exactly is it's a step in the right direction, but it's not there yet. It's kind of hard to make up for the, you know, missteps that was the Bionic and the Razer, you know, going quickly to the Razer Max. So I think they're moving in the right direction, but they've still got some work to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, even if you don't like this phone, you should be celebrating the fact that these are the last Sanjay Jha phones you may ever see, and hopefully going forward, we will actually get Google run phones. Anyway, all right. So other devices, Galaxy Note 2. Quickly, so we've already started to get some carriers announcing dates, and there's also a big party next week in NYC that our buddy Dave Cover is going to be at. I don't know if Dave's in the chat or not. I think he's traveling, but he's going to be in NYC at that party. It's basically a kickoff party, so hopefully we get dates for all of the carriers. I think we have, who do we have? Sprint, T-Mobile? I can't remember who announced it, actually. I know Verizon hasn't, which most of us care about. So Galaxy Note 2 I'm excited about. I played with it a little bit a few weeks ago. I mean, it really is just a big Galaxy S3, but S Pen is like crazy advanced over the original Note, and it's actually kind of fun to use, even though it's giant. I don't know that I could make it my everyday device, but I don't know. Ron, did you play with the original Note at all? Are you a fan of that big of a form factor?
No, I mean, I did. I played with it. Like you said, the original version, the S Pen stuff wasn't great. I'm also not a fan of naming everything as this, as that, but you know. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when everybody had, you know, these big PDA devices with the stylus and everything else like that for taking notes. And before I had an Android phone, I had the HTC Touch Pro 2, which had a stylus on there, and I would take notes with the stylus and everything else like that because it's faster than typing. So I mean, there's definitely a market for that, and obviously it's been huge in Korea. And I keep seeing people. My brother, in fact, is in love with the idea of having a giant phone and just using that, and so. There's definitely a market for it. I don't care for it personally because I'd rather have a big screen tablet and a regular size phone. But
yeah, I can't decide if I want to drop the tablet and just go with one big old device. I can't make that decision now. Tim, Galaxy Note, you care? You want a big old phone, or you? I don't know.
That's actually a really good question. I don't know why people make size such a big deal anymore. I mean. So, oh, shut up.
Look at him just going to town back there.
Yeah. That's what I was laughing at. I wasn't laughing at your awesome size joke. No.
Dang it. No.
No, I was laughing at the size joke.
Whatever. Ignore them. Anyways, I don't know. So you have phones are getting bigger and bigger. I don't know what. The LG Optimus coming with like 4.7 inch, and it doesn't even seem that big to me. I took an iPhone 5 the other day, and I just stuffed it right inside the Optimus G, and I don't know. So the iPhone 5 even feels tiny. So I think once people are open to the idea that they can have like a 4.0 plus inch display, it's really, I mean, when you start talking 5 inch or 5.3, I don't know, and they kind of use it for a little bit, it's not as bad as they may think it is. I don't know. As long, like, you know, Samsung did pretty well with kind of curving the edges, so it's not like terrible to hold or anything like that. So I don't know. I think bigger is better for me, at least, because I like playing games. Blah blah blah. I just like bigger phones.
Yeah, I mean, like the Galaxy S3 still to this day in hand feels like one of the best phones. I mean, like even compared to the Optimus G and the Razer HD, like I still think the Galaxy S3 feels better because, like you said, they've sort of like made the back almost fit perfectly in your hand. The Galaxy Note, I mean, the Note 2 basically feels just like that. So. Anyway, all right, let's move on from the Note 2. So just quickly, we'll touch on this. So Nexus 7, 32 gigabytes, basically been confirmed. I mean, like, you know, we first reported that news like 2 weeks ago, and now like every retailer in the UK is saying, yay, we're going to have the 32 gigabyte Nexus 7 for the holiday season. And it was in like ads and stuff today. So for those of you that have a 16 gig and you bought it like last week, I definitely do feel for you a little bit because the 32 gig at the same price is probably coming out in the next couple of weeks. Actually, I saw a distributor it was like a sales sheet today basically, and it showed shipments and when they're going to start going out. And there were some of them that are going out as early as like today, but most of the big shipments were all coming out. I think it was like November 7th. So I don't. That must be because they're going to. Anyways,
I'll kick them out. I'll kick them out. Yeah, they're being stupid.
Anyways, so the now that there's a Google event happening on October 29th, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they announced this new 32 gig Next 7 shipping next week, which is the stuff I saw basically showed everything shipping the next week. So anyway, we'll just move on from that. So Optimus G, Tim and I, you and I kind of talked about that. Is there anything else you want to add about Optimus G? I reviewed it. I know you're working on a review. Is there anything that like stood out to you as like the greatest piece of technology ever in the Optimus G? Or is it
greatest piece of technology ever? 13 megapixel camera, at least in the version that I have for Sprint. I took it to a market out in the country yesterday, and I got some like really cool pictures that I'm excited to share with everyone. My review should be ready for tomorrow or so. But besides the camera, no, there's no groundbreaking technology or anything like that. But I like the camera, and I like the display. So keep it up, LG.
All right, sweet. All right, so one last device. Well, we have two ones that we need to talk about. I just want to rant for a second about the Pad Phone 2, just because like this phone or this device I've been trying to get a hold of for like ever since the day the original one was announced, and now the Pad Phone 2. I want a phone that I could dock in my damn tablet and then use a tablet and use the data and share it and all that stuff. But it's never going to come to the States because of shared data and because the carriers are a-holes and they want to rob you for every damn last penny. I mean, it's the most brilliant idea ever, but it's never going to take off here. I don't know how well it sold overseas or anything like that. I don't know how easy it was to even get a hold of over there. I love the idea, especially this new version, because it's basically like an Optimus G, all the specs are, and then it docks into this even sleeker tablet. But I love the Pad Phone 2, and I've never even held the damn thing. I don't know. Eric, what do you think about the Pad Phone 2?
I personally probably would never buy it, but it's frustrating to see all these reviews popping up of the Pad Phone 2 and saying, you know, this phone is better than most phones on the market as by itself, and then when you put it in the tablet, it's still a pretty decent tablet. And to hear that that's never, you know, going to come to the States because of a money grab is kind of disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like we're so limited as consumers sometimes in the U.S. So I don't know, you guys. Anybody else have a rant about the Pad Phone 2? It's just one of those things that I've been obsessed over for like 6 months now.
Well, I mean, the thing that's changed, the thing that makes me hopeful that it might come to the States. When Pad Phone 1 came out, there were no shared data plans at all. But since then, we've got AT&T and Verizon. They don't care what you use it on. You just pay for the data, and that's it. So you can get, you can have, however many devices on there, and that's fine. So, I mean, the potential is there now. Before, obviously, there wasn't, and they would have some opposition to that. But now, I mean, you're just paying for the data. It doesn't matter what devices. So I don't see why they would have any, anything against that.
Yeah, well, but they want you to like pay an extra $10 a month to attach a tablet to it. So unless they can figure out, I mean, I know $10 isn't all that much money, but to them, and they multiply it by however many people. But yeah, I mean, if you want to add a tablet, which is what you're doing with this, they would probably want more money from that. I don't know.
Yeah, but then Verizon just has their own version that you get it with a tablet or without, and you pay the extra $10 or not, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
they could definitely do that, and they could definitely lock it in if they want to. So.
I seriously hope it happens. I don't know why. I probably won't even like the damn thing. I just want to play with it. All right. Anyway, so the last device talk. Let's make this quick. The iPad Mini event was announced. Does anyone really care about an iPad? I mean, I know people probably do. It's an Apple product. It'll probably be well made, but it doesn't even feel like it has the same buzz as an iPhone or the regular iPad. It feels like Apple's just going, well, there's this little market out there with these small devices, and we could probably go in and dominate the hell out of that. So let's see what we can do. And they're just like throwing this, I don't know. The dogs obviously do not like the iPad.
They are not iPad Mini fans.
No. I mean, I said Apple and iPad, and they just went, holy
Battle Royale.
Anyway, I don't know, Tim, you have some ties to Apple. Are any of the people you know with Apple, do they care at all about this iPad Mini?
No, no, not really. They don't even really bring it up as if it's a thing. We've talked about it because they kind of compare it to the Nexus 7 where it's like, well, yeah, it's going to be smaller and it's more for gaming and stuff like that. It'll be cheaper. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. Are they excited? I really don't know. That's a good question. I could actually probably go ask. I don't know.
Yeah. Anybody else? Do you guys? I mean, have you heard like are friends, families, anyone talking about the iPad Mini like they do with the iPad or the regular iPhone?
Yeah, I've definitely had people ask me about it and ask what I think, and so. But other questions seem to be around, hey, do you think it's gonna fill a Kindle Fire? So, which is, I mean, if you're looking at what they're doing, that looks like they're going after Google now and Amazon to kill that market. So, and that for them as a business, that definitely makes sense, and it doesn't take a lot of effort for them. They've got $100 billion in banks, so I mean, it's not like it's gonna hurt them if it fails.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like they can throw out some cash at stuff, and if it sticks and they dominate, they go, "Yep, we just did that." And if not, it doesn't really matter because they, like you just said, they have $100 billion in the bank. It's sort of insane. Anyway, okay, so let's move on. So there's some operating stuff, just Android OS stuff in general that's gone on over the last week. Is there a plane flying by?
Over someone.
I have a plane. Going over.
That's right. You're by an airport. That's right. You have planes and dogs, like. Yeah. Anyway, so Android operating system talk. So we saw Gmail 4.2 leak out. We saw this really sort of interesting take on a new quick settings menu, which is like a double swipe down to get to quick settings, which is actually, I thought was kind of cool. We had new Google Play with some more options in there. But Gmail was sort of the big one, right? We had pinch to zoom. You can now swipe to delete or archive emails, which is absolutely brilliant, by the way. I almost wish this was there. I'm surprised it wasn't there long ago, just like pinch to zoom. But that quick settings thing, it was super beta. The video we saw, like the second menu that swiped down actually said like future home of quick settings menu. So you can tell it's not built yet, or either the build that was leaked was really, really early. I don't know. So Tim, new Gmail, are you using it, or are you even rooting phones anymore?
Two very good questions. No, I'm not rooting phones anymore because basically, what's the point? I don't know. I just love Jelly Bean and all of its glory, so I really haven't had to do that yet. I mean, if I have to, I will. No problem. But and then the new Gmail, nope, not using it. Pinch to zoom just isn't really a big deal to me. Like, it's cool, and when it is there, I will use it, but I'm not gonna root a device and then flash it and what? No, nope.
It's brilliant. Are any of you guys rooted using this new Gmail, or is it just me? Anybody?
Just you.
Just
I'm rooted, but I'm not using it.
Wow. You guys. It's it's really nice. I mean, like, you get into an email and it's fluid, just like the browser is. It feels like they've been working on it for a while, or they just finally decided to get their act together and do it. But I don't know. It's actually really nice. Hopefully it comes out sooner rather than later.
I'll use the hell out of it when they release it, but deleting the old APK and installing the new one, I was never really safe with those. So
yeah, those are never that. What do you guys think about this quick settings menu, though? Would you rather just use a widget, or do you like this double swipe down? Is it a cool idea? What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. So the more gestures you can pop in, the better. So yeah, I mean, it looks. I mean, obviously we have no idea what it's actually going to look like, but it's a lot better than just having that little drop down and then hit settings. That always felt like they kind of half-assed it there. They should have just finished that up and put some settings in there. So.
Yeah, it seems like it. Is it too confusing, though? I mean, are regular users going to understand they have to double swipe something and swipe however many times back up?
Probably not, but regular users don't do most of that stuff anyway. So if they,
that's true. All right, let's talk about just phones that are receiving updates. So the Galaxy S3 today, Samsung had this giant announcement that it was getting Jelly Bean in the coming months, is all they would say. So it's already rolling out to some phones in Europe. Internationally, obviously the U.S. carriers take way too long to do anything. So all they would say is coming months, and all the carriers were going to announce their own time frame. And I mean, who knows when the Galaxy S3 is going to get? It could be Q1, it could be December, it could be March for all we know. We also have Bionic ICS, which soak test was supposed to happen. I don't know that it's actually happened. No one's actually hit us up to say like, hey, I finally got the update. So that sort of seems in limbo too. Then we have Jelly Bean for the Razer, then the Bionic after ICS, the Droid 4, the Razer HD, the Razer M, all that stuff. So our guy that brought up the Razer X story and the Bionic ICS said that He's been told, well, obviously we've already been told the Razer HD and M are going to get Jelly Bean before the end of the year, but he said the Razer Bionic and D4 should all get it by Q1 or during Q1 of the next year. I don't know, this whole update situation, it's still broken after all this time, and I don't know that there's necessarily a good fix unless one of you guys has an idea to fix it. Tim, how are we going to fix the update process?
Oh, yeah. Let me just go ahead and wave my magic wand.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's going to take, right? A magic wand. I mean, Google came out today and said, we want to put stock Android on all of our phones so we can update them quickly. And, you know, the carriers said, no, we want custom stuff so we can differentiate. And so now Motorola is just going to dumb it down, their skin, as much as they can to be stock. So hopefully there's less for them to fix when they need to update stuff. But it just seems like such a – are we just blaming carriers now? Who's to blame, Eric?
I mean, it's looking more and more like that. Unfortunately, I don't want to just say it's Verizon's fault. It's Verizon's fault, but you know, like what we were talking about the pad phone earlier, the customization story that we ran this morning. It seems like they are doing everything they can to, you know, get as much money out of each device and each company and each customer as they can. You know, and it's a business, so that's what they're supposed to do, but you know, it's causing some problems down the line.
Yeah, and I definitely get this feeling too that, and this is obviously just my opinion on this, there's no fact or anything behind this, but it just feels like all these carriers know they have new devices coming out, and it's easier to sell a new device with a shiny new OS rather than keep these old devices up to date. I mean, they want to put more money and more marketing, more effort into that. I mean, it just makes sense. Who knows if that's actually true or not, but I don't know. Ron, you got anything to add about the update situation and how crappy it is?
Yeah, well, we had that interesting thing happen with where I forget the guy's name. He goes by initials JBQ. I forget his actual name. But they're experimenting with putting AOSP on the Xperia S, and in the comments where he's talking about that and answering questions from some people, he said, you know, a lot of this is about trying to see if we can get Android down to that base level to where you can just, you know, throw an update on top and that kind of thing. So I mean, they're obviously looking at it, they're experimenting with it, and obviously that means having partnerships with all the manufacturers to get those drivers and everything else like that. And there's that struggle with, okay, well, you know, the manufacturers themselves obviously don't want to be contributing everything to AOSP because then they have no advantage over everybody else. But if they can get those drivers in there at least, I mean, that's a huge step towards being able to roll out those updates quickly. And if you have that built out, you can do kind of a bottom layer updates. I mean, I think it's still possible, but there are still a lot of barriers. So I'm hoping that that's, you know, these rumors of that expanded Nexus program, I'm hoping that that's what a lot of that is about, of trying to see, okay, let's get some more input from the manufacturers so we can make that whole process of updating a lot easier.
Yeah, and that whole, at I/O when they announced that whole, I forget the acronym for it, but it's basically like a partner AOSP sort of thing, so they get updates faster. Hopefully that actually starts taking off and we start seeing you know, them taking advantage, stuff like that. Also, it doesn't feel, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like once we hit ice cream sandwich, that it's been quicker to jump to Jelly Bean and the Jelly Bean updates after. I mean, I know that we're not on Jelly Bean on a lot of phones yet, but it just felt like stuff's moving quicker. I don't know. I could be in my own world on that. I'm sure everyone in the comments is going to kill me for saying that. Android updating process is really what kills it for me and a lot of other people that I know that don't have Android devices, basically. I forget right off, but I know, Kellen, you probably know right off the top of your head. October 1st, Android distribution numbers came out. Like, what was the number that Jelly Bean is on right now? Oh, yeah, it's still like under 3, I think.
Yeah, and to me, I think at least Ice Cream Sandwich needs to be like a majority by now, you know? And I think it just takes way too long for everyone to update their phones, and hopefully going forward with new devices and all that, that can just be new and changed, and that can stop being a negative on Android's part.
Yeah, it's going to be a while, unfortunately, but yeah, hopefully we get there. All right, anyway, enough of that stuff. Let's talk fun stuff. Let's talk games. So Tim and Eric, you guys, we're going to bring in some games today. This new stuff that you've been talking about or playing, favorite new stuff, share it with the world. What do you guys got for us? Games.
Eric, kick it off, man.
All right. Well, we wrote a story about it this week, the Walking Dead game that just came to the Google Play Store, and I know a lot of people were excited because the 3rd season of Walking Dead just started. And if you haven't downloaded the game, I would highly suggest it. It only takes about 15, 20 minutes to sit down and play through the whole thing, but it is awesome. It's not necessarily you going out and, shooting zombies. If you watch the TV shows, you read the comic, that's not really what it's about. It's about making choices and having to deal with those choices in a zombie-filled world. And it's actually really fun. If you've played the episodic games that have come out for the PC or the Xbox or the PS3, it's a lot like that. You're faced with choices, and how you pick those choices are going to affect the end game, and it's really fun. And it's free on top of that, so why not?
Yeah, well, as for me, when it comes to games, there's only one game that anyone should probably care about right now, and that is Shadowgun Dead Zone, the multiplayer beta. And if you have a device that's running a Tegra 3 chip, because it's only supporting Tegra 3 devices right now, but if you have one of those, like a Nexus 7 or a International 1X or any of like the Transformer tablets, then definitely pick that game up and pick it up right now.
Is anyone playing it? Or are you like the only
Yes.
guy running around servers by yourself?
No,
No. Bots or something?
Definitely not. A lot of people are playing it, and I've been in there, in and out, kind of kicking butt, getting my butt kicked, a little bit of both. And it's been a blast. I really need to invest in getting like a good like Bluetooth controller or something, because some people go in there and you can just tell when they have a controller, because they're just like, they're going 20-0, and it's not even fair. So, but that game is completely awesome.
And then another game that I've been playing that we also wrote up was the Jaws game. When I'm looking for a game on my phone, I'm not looking for something deep that's going to take a lot of time to invest. It's me, walking to class or on the bus to class, and, being a shark running around eating fish, boats, people jumping up into the sky, taking out planes. It's good fun. The only problem I noticed with that game, it makes your phone or tablet run really hot. There was the point where my fingers started hurting from holding my Nexus 7 because the processor was running so fast.
Yes.
But that was the only downside to it. Good, clean, well, not clean, but mindless fun, I should say.
Any other games? What else you guys got?
Well, I think the only other game I've been playing besides Shadowgun, because that takes up most of my day, is Rayman Jungle Run. I don't know, that game's been out for 2 weeks now or something. It's $3, but it is like console quality, man. It is really cool. I've been enjoying it. It's got a mix of like easy, but it also has like challenges inside the level where you got to get all the coins, and that part's not easy whatsoever. But I love that game. That's a great game, and we wrote it up, and yeah, everyone should go find that too. It's $3, but I think for some people it might be worth it.
Yeah. I love it that games are more console quality these days. It makes them actually worth buying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so let's do just our top apps that we've been using in the last week. So I'll start with Ron. What do you got best app of the last week or so that you found or just can't put down?
The app that I've been using, I tweet a lot, and so for me, having a good Twitter app is pretty important. So the one that I've been using lately, I tried out. We have that posted on the Echothon Alpha, and that one's all right. But the one I've been using a lot has been Boyd, which is still in beta, but it's got a lot of nice little flourishes. One of the things it's got, as you're scrolling through, it'll show you a preview of a picture. If somebody posted a picture from on Instagram or Twitter's picture servers and stuff like that, so it'll show you a little preview. If somebody mentions you in a tweet in the notification, when you slide that down, it shows you their avatar, which is actually a nice little flourish instead of just showing the application icon. It's smooth, it scrolls well. When you're typing out a tweet and you want to mention something, it's got the @ symbol there, you hit that and it automatically populates that. So it's a well-done Twitter app. If you're using Twitter, I think that's probably the best one out there right now. So.
Nice. I'm a Hootsuite man myself. Anyway, my app of the week, I don't really have an app of the week, I'm not going to lie. I've just been playing Granny Smith religiously. The 12 new space levels, I played the first one. When it first came out over the weekend, I loaded it up. It was like, I'm going to play a couple levels and do a little post and talk about how fun the game is. It took me 25 minutes, I think, to beat the first level. And so finally I just gave up. I gave up playing, was like, I'm just going to write this up and call it really difficult to play, but you guys should have fun. And then I spent all weekend, and yeah, it wasted way too much time. So anyway, Eric, what's your app of the week?
The app of the week for me would have to be Field Trip. I know it got released, almost a month back now through Google, and it's their app that kind of lets you know what kind of landmarks are around you, interesting things. I've installed it, and since then, I live in a town where a movie was filmed, so it always points out little spots where that piece of the movie was filmed. But the most interesting part this week was I woke up one morning, and I walked out my front door, and I got a little notification on my phone that said, hey, there's going to be a concert about half a block down from you tonight. And I was like, well, I was impressed. And it even had a little, like, here's where you go buy tickets thing. And I was really impressed. And I've put a little bit more attention into that app, since it took the initiative to tell me about that concert. I'm not going to go, but, it was certainly a cool thing.
Hater. Tim, what do you got?
What do I got? Well, as you may or may not know, my San Francisco Giants did make it into the playoffs. So I, unlike many other team fans or whatever, still have the MLB Lite app installed. But I found a new app that actually gives me like up-to-date news on my team and Melky Cabrera's positive drug testing, and that is the Team Stream from Bleacher Report. And if you watch a game, you'll see ads for it like every 5 minutes, like, oh, download Team Stream. And I'm like, okay. So I download it, and it's actually pretty awesome. So like after a game, before a game, they'll talk about lineups, what happened during the game after it's over. They'll talk about the probables for the next game and all that. And actually, if someone got injured during the game, for me, who's like a diehard Giants fan, it helps a lot to like keep me on top of my game. So that's it for me. Bleacher Report.
The fact that your app of the week came from an ad that you clicked on is like, I don't even know what to say to that. That's amazing. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so enough of app talk. Ron, as you guys all know, is our resident opinionator. And so we're going to give Ron we're going to give him the mic one time each week and just let him go off on whatever he wants to go off on. So Ron, I'm just going to turn it over to you for a little bit.
All right. We had a couple opinion articles of last week and this week that actually kind of tied in together. But this week I talked about some of the top 3 reasons why we should consider the Kindle Fires to be Android tablets, which is not necessarily something that people debate about, although I did have a debate with a friend earlier today about that after he read my article. But it's definitely something where people, I think Android enthusiasts have been a little bit unsure and a little bit kind of caught off guard by the Kindle Fire. So the things that I talked about in the article, for people that haven't read it, main reason it runs Android, which again sounds obvious, but I think one of the reasons that people are a little bit hesitant to say, yeah, it does run Android is because it is a heavily customized experience. It's like the Nooks, where if you were to pick up the tablet, you'd have no idea that it's running Android unless somebody told you. In fact, when I had the event, everybody was kind of scrambling to figure out because they didn't announce what version of Android the new ones were running. So they don't make that obvious, but it is running Android underneath. The other reason, it runs Android apps, and I've had people say, oh, you can run, Windows apps on Linux. Does that make Linux Windows? And it's like, well, or the other reason, some of the comments mentioned the playbook, but when you have those apps running, it's not like it's running native. You have to do some hacking, you have to do some sort of an emulator, you have to do something running in the background to make that happen, versus on the Kindle Fire, I mean, you can, once you root it and throw Super User on there, you can throw even the Google Play Store on there, and everything, it'll install and it runs. So, but the main thing that I think is happening, and I talked about this a little bit, was just I think people were caught off guard by the Kindle Fire being the success that it was. We have the Zoom, about 3,000 different versions of the Galaxy Tab. We have the Flyer, we have the Supersonic, which I think was $800 off contract. Good call, HTC. We had all these other tablets, and a lot of them looked good, but they weren't successful in the market. And I think that caught a lot of people off guard. Well, should we say that this, this customized version of Android, should we say that that's, oh yeah, that's the tablet's going to be successful? Should we really support that? And we haven't seen Nexus 7 numbers, and hopefully those are better. And like I said in the post, I hope that that does do better. But think we should consider it an Android tablet. And there's a lot of confusion kind of tying back to the last post of saying, well, it doesn't have the Play Store. Doesn't that mean that it's not an Android tablet?
Right.
And actually had some people that were disagreeing with me that then quoted my own article against me saying, hey, well, look at this article to explain what the difference between AOSP and OHA. I'm like, I wrote that article, so I'm not going to read that. So it's and some of that stuff is confusing, and that's understandable because it's not like Google exactly broadcasts what is AOSP and the difference between the members of the OHA and Google Play Store and everything else like that. And like I said, I think the big thing really is just we don't want Amazon to be the winner. At the end of the day, we want to see Google's version of Android succeed. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that, or.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I think initially we were all going, oh, this is so awesome. Amazon's creating a tablet. It's going to be a winner. And then, yeah, like you said, it won. And it's like fake Android. I mean, I know it's not fake Android. It's forked Android. But I personally don't like the UI at all on Amazon's tablet. I love Amazon's ecosystem. I hate their app store. And I guess if I owned one, I would root the thing and throw the Google Play Store on it immediately just to start and probably get rid of their skin or whatever else anybody's doing to it. I'm glad that Amazon's there because it's making Google work harder. So if Amazon wasn't doing what they're doing, we might have never seen the Nexus 7. So even as long as Amazon keeps pushing limits in this niche of the game, I mean, Google obviously realized it was important enough to sort of take over and enter it as well. So I don't know, those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, and I think that's an important. You brought up that we probably wouldn't have had the Nexus 7. I think that's true, and that's something I didn't bring up in the article. But I mean, there definitely were cheap tablets, but they were cheap in every single sense of the word. So having some sort of quality hardware and quality software mixed in there at that low price point. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be the success story for the Nexus 7. And Google didn't start with that play. They started with the Zoom, and that failed in the market. It was Amazon that showed, okay, this is how you're going to break into that market and hopefully move on from there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, Tim, you're laughing about something.
Because they're loving your shirt in the IRC chats.
Yeah, Tim's over here reading chat.
Wait, whose shirt? My shirt?
Yes.
I was gonna bring out the green Matrix shirt from CES, but I thought that might be overkill for episode 1. I was gonna actually just hang it up on my little hoop back there just so people could see the.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. But about the Kindles, I don't know. I mean, they're helping Android's numbers, I guess, so that's good for Android. But I personally really don't consider them being like Android tablets because to me they aren't running Android or anything like that. I know maybe deep down inside they are, but they don't look like Android.
Yeah, but I mean, and they're almost not even really helping. They're almost hurting numbers because now we're putting Amazon in their own category. They stood on stage and they go, we own 22% and Android owns 7% or something like that. So it's almost like a slap in the face to Google. So
right.
And rightly so, because Google came out with it and failed in the market with it. They didn't come out with good products. I mean, I don't blame Amazon. I don't like what they're doing with the skin. I don't like any of that stuff. But I mean, you got to hand it to them. They pushed into the market and pushed out Apple. I mean, 22%. That's significant. Apple was at 80 or 90% before.
Yeah.
Down to 68. Right. That's not just. I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight. That's because people are buying that instead of the iPad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it as a horrible thing. When most people get it in their hands, they're not buying it because it's an Android tablet. And I'm not necessarily a big fan of the skin, but most people find it, usable. And if you go up and say, this is an Android tablet, it's almost a gateway device, if you ask me. If they have a good experience with the Kindle, then they might be more interested in getting a phone or maybe a Nexus 7. I don't see it as a horrible thing, but I think it's definitely going to be interesting going down the road, seeing how Amazon and Google directly compete with each other.
Definitely. All right, so we're getting close to an hour, and we definitely do not want to keep everybody too long. So let's finish up with just some random notes, some other significant just news bites quickly. One of them was Verizon's massive LTE rollout. Okay, so they announced a long time ago that they were trying to hit 400 markets by the end of the year, and then last week they said, no, we're actually going to hit 400 next week, as in this week, and we're going to blow past 400. Good luck catching us, AT&T. Good luck, Sprint, with whatever you're doing. And T-Mobile.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Just dropped it forth and took off.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty insane. We were talking the other night for those in the chat that I mean, like you go to rural towns now and they have LTE. Like I'm originally from Montana, and like half of Montana seems like at least all the major towns and cities in Montana have Verizon's LTE now, which is sort of remarkable. So I don't know, any thoughts on LTE and how quickly, Tim, how fast Verizon's been able to do this?
Well, they've done it very well, and I'm sure their shareholders are really happy. Yeah, I mean, they said 400, and here they are. They're giving us 418, even before November?
Yeah.
So that's great. It makes me happy to be on Verizon, I guess. But then again, that's more people clogging down my network when I'm trying to download important stuff. And so I may just have to switch to AT&T altogether now. Whatever. Oh, well.
I mean, seriously, like so AT&T lit up their LTE in Portland like maybe 3-4 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I use it more than Verizon's now just because it's so much faster. I mean, it's like drastically faster than what Verizon has now because there's so many damn people on Verizon's now. So hopefully they build that up a little bit. I think they have enough spectrum and enough damn money they should be able to do it.
What kind of speeds are you seeing on Verizon in your area?
Like 15 down?
Yeah, I mean,
like
it's under 20 down and like right around 10 up or something like that.
But the
and
fact that you're complaining that it's under 20, I mean, most of the time with Verizon 3G, I'm hopefully 1.5. Hopefully. So
yeah, I mean, you just get so used to the cushy life. I mean, AT&T's is like, it's like 40 megs down. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it crushes.
And
Verizon's
was like that initially, but it's just, and I'm sure AT&T's will come down once all these iPhone 5 people learn how to use LTE.
Just a couple months ago when Bluetooth, or not Bluetooth, what am I talking about? 4G launched in my city, at like 3 in the morning I could get 60 megs down,
yeah, it's nuts.
consistently, and now it's somewhere around, 15, 20, like we're talking about. So it's good to see that people are actually getting on the network, but, RIP our download speeds.
Yeah, really. All right, I'll just hit on a couple other things, and then we'll wrap up with just 1 or 2 more topics. But anyway, what was ISIS mobile wallet finally launching October 22nd in 2 test markets? Who knows when it's going to actually roll out nationwide or to anybody outside of Salt Lake City and Austin. They won't announce anything else really except those 2 markets. They sent us a little press note tonight. And let's see, Sprint and SoftBank, obviously that news is a little bit older. Actually, no, that was from Monday. So SoftBank's buying 70% of Sprint. They're giving them like $8 billion up front to go build LTE and whatever they want to try to do. We also we got a tip that Google Play carrier billing is possibly coming to Verizon tomorrow. So everyone feel free to log into your Google Play account tomorrow and see if you can charge anything to Verizon. We're not sure if that's going to have to come through an update or if they're going to announce it and what's going on there. But then there was this other story today about Verizon spying on us. So Verizon's been spying on us for a long time. And the story came out, and it was actually pretty detailed. And they had like I think it was like their COO or just a VP. And he was basically saying, like, we're awesome at we're awesome at monitoring every single thing you're doing and then selling it and making a giant profit off it. Like, we are awesome at this. And he was, like, bragging about it. And, with all the privacy concerns these days, nobody was really that happy to hear that. And now there's, like, government agencies talking about looking into it. It's sort of a mess. And then when Tim and I were actually writing this whole thing up and looking at it, I clicked on the opt-out link from Verizon, and it looks like I had opted out. I don't even know how long ago. So this obviously has come up before. It's just now taking off again. So I don't know, Ron, when you read any of that stuff today, did you care, or are you just so used to this stuff, or pissed off? What?
I was worried my Twitter feed was broken because this is like a year-old thing. So I opted out a long time ago. So the fact that people are freaking out about it, I don't know if it's just. I don't know why people didn't know about it. So yeah, I mean, it's not. It's bad that it's definitely buried. It's not obvious. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you're using a Google product, you're opting to sell your information to everybody anyway. So having Verizon see it, not a big difference.
Yeah. So Eric, you have some thoughts about that?
Well, I've opted out, but like Ron said, it's nothing. They're not doing anything that Google isn't doing. But I feel like we're a little bit more cautious of Verizon than Google
Yeah.
for some reason.
We're Google fanboys, but if Verizon does the same thing, we go, "What the hell? This is
Yeah.
yes. We're gonna
Yeah.
sue you. Where's the government? Like somebody step in and do this." Even though you can click a little link to opt out, and you can't. I don't think you can actually opt out of most of Google's stuff. Like you're just locked into there.
No, yeah, you can, but it doesn't seem like I remember I opted out of ads in Gmail at some point, and then they never actually disappeared. So I ended up just
Right.
so. But there is a big difference though, because you're paying Verizon already.
Right.
Google isn't charging anything. You information for services. You got to pay Verizon and then give them the information. That's not totally upfront. That's
Yeah, and actually somebody commented on that post today and said, like, it feels wrong that we're paying $80 to use their service, and then they're going to collect all this information about us and not necessarily tell us or sort of hide it, and then they're going to go sell it to somebody for a ton of money. It's like they're hitting us twice, and it's a little disturbing, I'm not going to lie. All right, so let's wrap up with one last thing. It's our poll of the week, and we asked last week, the Droid Life community, do you own an Android tablet? And 68% said, yes, I do own an Android tablet. I was blown away by that number. I thought it would be more around 50. I know like we're all Android geeks, but 68%, 70%, it's actually pretty high. Tim, were you surprised by 70% of Droid Life community?
No, actually, I was not, Kellen.
Of course.
I keep trying to tell Kellen that a lot of people are buying tablets, and it's kind of like we go back and forth all day.
Yeah.
But basically, he thought the number was going to be down because the last time we ran it was around like 20 or 30% or something real low.
It was really low, yeah.
And I was like, dude, people are snatching up this Nexus 7 like crazy, and they're always talking about it, blah, blah, blah. And so I knew the number would be high, maybe like around 45, 50, but it kind of blew me away when we were seeing like in the 60s and stuff. I was like, wow, so you're talking a lot of people who own an Android tablet, and that was like out of 10,000 votes or something. So I was really happy with those numbers. I think it's great because I'm hoping that it's going to bring more kind of like tablet-friendly applications and programs like that. So, because I know, Apple's always talking about, oh, our iPad has tons of compatible apps, but what a crock. So yeah, I want that.
Yeah, and we all own Android tablets, right? Eric and Ron, you guys own tablets?
Yep.
Nope.
Oh, you don't? Okay. And are you a tablet guy or not? Like, do you own an iPad? Are you an iPad guy?
I picked up an iPad. So and the main reason for that was because you look at all the tablets. A lot of them, they all have skins on them. They're not getting updates, and a lot of the apps. Like I said, I'm on Twitter 90% of the time. Most of the apps are pretty bad for that kind of thing. So and it's good that Google's finally coming out with they have those guidelines and they're pushing people to make more tablet optimized apps. So it's with like something like probably 70-80% of the apps in the Play Store are still optimized just for a phone. So they're getting there, they're getting better. And hopefully with maybe if we have a Nexus 10 and Google starts pushing more developers to do that, then I think that'll just help it expand even more. But I think that's been the main thing that's been holding them back.
Yeah.
I think Google bought themselves some times when they made the Nexus 7 a phone layout instead of a more traditional tablet layout.
Yep.
So they can kind of wait and get more true tablet apps before this Nexus 10 or whatever else comes out.
Yeah, it was sort of nice. I always love seeing the developer posts where it's Google telling developers how to make apps. And they're doing this video series these days where they're like picking apart apps from the App Store and telling you how to like holo theme them and make them more Android friendly and stuff like that. I'm glad that they're doing that because a lot of the developers don't necessarily, I don't think, understand, or they don't know that this information's out there or how they're supposed to be designing it for Android. So the more information they can put out there, the better. So. All right, you guys. Well, it is past 7 o'clock here on the West Coast, so I think we should wrap up. That's the first ever The Droid Life show. We're going to try to do this, I don't know, every week if we can. Hopefully Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific every week if we can. Blazer season's starting, so I can't commit fully. I'm just kidding. But anyway, all the readers in the comments section, the chat, thanks for joining us. This has actually been a lot of fun. I'm actually looking forward to doing more. So anyways, good night, people. And this will be rebroadcast, or it's going to be recorded, so we can post it up on the site. We might even pull some audio for you podcasters out there. But anyway, good night. It's been fun, y'all.
Good night.
Peace.
Everybody.
Goodbye.